In this video, let's explore these 3 chapters and start with
So, many careers had the biggest and the greatest impact, but there is one that is found to be interesting, which is the web designer. In this digital age, life itself cannot be lived without electricity, and the new invention, the internet, and the internet introduced us to the World Wide Web, which every website always starts with www. All of the 1.13 billion websites need to be good looking, responsive, easy, and function amazingly. So, web designers have the biggest impact on literally everyone who is using the internet because of these 5 things. Number 1, first of all, web designers design, create, and optimize websites and their content to make the website comfortable to see and easy to use by designing the website and putting it by writing code. Number 2, the web designers have to design specifically to fit on phones, tablets, computers, and TVs. Number 3, web designers have to make the perfect user interface, which is UI. According to TechTarget, the user interface UI is the point of human-computer interaction and communication in a device, and the user experience UX. According to Liferay, user experience, which is UX, is how a person feels while interacting with a company, especially in a context of a website, web application, or other digital technology. So, to make the user finding information easier and navigating and looking to the website simpler, and not to make it frustrating and make it, that user will come back for a longer amount of time. Number 4, they also write and plan websites to give a well-thought website. Number 5, and lastly, they need to fix and look out for bugs and errors in any problems of the website. So I cannot tell if this career can help or use these details to find these details relevant, but here are 2 details from the learning. Number 1, the first detail which can find an ordinary web designer find useful is the Q chart or the Q question chart. This is a chart that helps to make the most well thought questions into the chart with various types of questions that asked and questions with the word. It is handy to web designers because they will ask multiple questions, and not only when writing their website, coding and design. It's for example, which color palette or pattern do I make for the website? Number 2, the second detail that can be weird is this scientific method. Even though it is for scientists and can be kind of used for web designers with slight alteration. For example, a web designer need to ask a question for a design. Then the web designer does a bag of research to find inspirations. Construct a hypothesis for a design that the web designer will work amazingly and look nice on the website, and then add this to the code and then test it to see if it is worthy design to put it on the website. Then analyze the results if you like the design, and then if it looks bad, think again. Using the scientific method might work for web designing and with little alterations, and I do not think if the web designer will even use this. So, let's not fuzz any further, and let's look at how training for the web designer applies to solving problems or answering questions in science. Number 1, training by spotting the problems and looking for it. For example, when a web designer gets an error in coding, the web designer wants to spot the problem and then find it. So it is important to find the problem even if it's impossible to fix it, which is perfectly applies to easily fixing and finding answers to the questions or solving the problems. in science by simply finding the flaws and problems when analyzing the data and concluding the full result in the experiment. Number 2. Training by using research skills and having the best thinking skills. It's simple to say that since it is important to have these skills, just like a web designer can think of how the user can stay on the website and come back to it over and over again, researching it, which applies to conduct, research, to experiment and analyze results, data, and evidence to conclude, so to answer the questions or solve the problems in science. Number 3. Training by communicating and helping others, so web designers, customers, and other employees can discuss the website's problem, issues, benefits, and other opinions, which is the same thing that can be happened to scientists by discussing the reports, results, theories, and etc. to answer the questions or solve the problems in science. As about to talk about careers, there are many real-world issues from around the world, especially in Canada. So it is very important to fill in the blanks of this question. How might rank 2 different sustainable practices of in Canada? Therefore, there is a particular real-world issue that has to be explored, which is climate change. Everyone knows that climate change is extremely dangerous and has to be taken very seriously, since it has affect lakes, oceans, and seas, making fish cannot find cold water to live in and making the earth more warmer than ever for the worse. Many people will ask, how can we fix this? Well, humans and their amazing careers, so there are many careers that might be concerned about climate change, such as environmental engineer, urban planners, toxicologists, environmental technician, etc. But there is one career that is the most concerned about climate change, which is climate scientist. So the question might look like this. How might a climate scientist rank 2 different sustainable practices of climate change in Canada? Before answering the questions, everyone needs to know what happened to climate change in Canada. To give more context to the question, most of the information is taken from Wikipedia. In Canada, climate change has had a big impact on the environment in a really bad way. So many horrific situations and events happened in Canada, like extreme weather, even as recent a huge number of forest fires that come out in Canada, and even floods and increasing sea level over time thanks to ice melting, and the story goes on, such as pollution is increasing and many citizens of Canada do not want any of this. That is why SDG exists in the first place, to make the perfect country and even the world. And here comes to the careers to reduce climate change. So climate change many of the past practices are deforestations, forest fires, burning fossil fuels, releasing carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, and many past project practices. Anyway, there are many plans in Canada to reduce climate change, and the information is also taken from the website of Canada's government itself. So many plans are, of course, planning net zero emissions or net zero challenge is basically removing greenhouse gas by planting trees, plants, and other actions. And in 2030, they are also planning that to make the air then cleaner than ever, similarly to the SDGs 13 climate change. And of course, in 2050, they plan to remove all greenhouse gases which is, there are many more plans, but there is one that is interesting and a foreshadowing of the career. But to talk about, which is adapting to climate change. It is everyone, needs to understand that climate change and adapt and how to change, climate change exists. To see its behavior and define tune the decisions and actually to see the many people's vision and result. Climate scientist is a scientist who studies and analyzes climate and also climate change and its effects, changes, solutions and causes by using models and tools, making computer situations, and tons of writing, researching, and gather ton of data. So let's introduce the sustainable practice, which is replacing all of the fossil fuels to renewable energy, and the second sustainable practice is using circular economy, like reusing and recycling material. So here's the explanation. The first sustainable practice is replacing all fossil fuels with renewable energy is one of the causes of fossil fuels. So replacing all of the gasoline, coal and natural oil, nuclear power, etc. to the high demand and better alternative, which is renewable energy like solar panels and wind powers, etc. to make, or you can say, to clear out the fossil fuels from all around the world. And this is a huge idea to be included, because this is based on Activity 3.1 energy conversions, which describes and explains renewable energy turning different energies into electrical energy. There are many carriers to replace all fossil fuels with renewable energy, which are, energy storage specialist, solar engineer, and turbine service technician, etc. Second, sustainable practice by using a circular economy, like reusing and recycling materials when using the circular economy diagram and using the 4 actions, which are, of course, recycle, refurbish, reuse, and repair to remove trash from all around the world. Since Canada's diversion rate is about 48% in 2020, so this huge idea is based on Activity 2.6, combining group knowledge, which basically mostly describes the metal and leaving them or other materials as trash can cause harm to the environment and other environmental problems like water pollution. Therefore, there are many careers in that practice, which are recycling specialists, environmental cleanup technicians, etc. Then let's start comparing these two by using cost-benefit analysis. Number 1, sustainable practice. Benefits, and we have cost. For the benefits, it reduces reliance on fossil fuels and it's very great for the environment to reduce more greenhouse gas from the fossil fuels. Number 2, since it is renewable, it can be replenished over and over again. Cost. Number 1, it will take time, work, patience, and plus it is very expensive to replace. Number 2, it needs ton of empty lands to replace renewable energy, wind power, wind power needs too much wind to turn it into electricity, so it needs empty lands to get all of them with great results. Second sustainable practice is benefits, and we have costs. For the benefits, it has many benefits for the environment. Number 2, it can save a ton of new resources by making recycled things, which also makes more income and save money. Costs. It needs many machines and too much power to recycle and many of the materials to reuse and recycle. Number 2, many people are not willing to buy recycled products or refurbish, reuse, or repair the products. Number 3, not everything can be recycled easily. Some of the things can be very complex or difficult to recycle. There are endless possibilities of having costs and benefits of these two sustainable practices. But every person wants to know these questions from earlier. How might a climate scientist rank 2 different sustainable practices of climate change in Canada? Well, if someone is a climate scientist would rank and 70% will rank as well as first sustainable practice. So let's explain. It is very easy to think that people want more is electricity. without electricity, they basically cannot live without it. Even though recycling materials is less expensive than, adding renewable resources. Adding renewable resources can, reduce more greenhouse gases and destruction than recycling things. Since one of the biggest main reasons of why climate change exists and people are more willing to get, for example, solar panels than recycling things or buying recycled things. And lastly, waste have other big problems other than climate change. Remember, everyone needs to follow SDG, and that's the whole explanation. Many of my questions would be very interesting and exciting to answer, but there are 4 questions about these 4 topics, which are the components of solar system and the universe, the properties, atomic structure, and location on the periodic table for elements and compounds, the components of ecosystem that allow for a flow of energy and cycling of matter, and lastly, properties of static and current electricity. Here are 4 questions about these 4 topics. Why is this movement of the sun and the components of the solar system so organized? Number 2, do all elements and compounds share the same chemical or physical properties, atomic structure, and the location on the periodic table? 3, how does the flow of energy differ in extreme environments? In what adaptations do tropic levels capture energy? Number 4, what are the differences and similarities between static and current electricity? So, let's try to answer. Number 1, there are many components of the solar system and the universe, like the sun, planets like Earth, Mars, Venus, etc., dwarf planets, moons, galaxies, stars, black holes, and etc. We have so many components in space in general. With that many components, why is it so organized? For example, Earth moving around the sun instead of randomly moving anywhere else. It is very weird and literally a mysterious question to ask. But to say the answer, we have the gravity, and if the mass of the object is very big, that object will have a bigger force. So if you're comparing the sun to the earth will get attracted to the sun and orbiting it. Number 2, every element of literally periodic table has a different location of periodic table because every element has a different atomic number. Every element has a different mass number and atomic number in the atomic structure. And similarities in that is that every element except hydrogen has 2 electrons in that first shell, and their properties are not the same according to Socratic. The compounds have neither the same chemical properties nor the same physical properties, and all elements have the same answers too. Number 3, in life, the cycle of survival and energy goes from living thing to living thing, never stops. No matter in the food web, food chains, and trophic levels, in different types of biospheres of the ecosystem, and sometimes food chain affected for better or worse by human activity. Therefore, what if living things adapt to very extreme biomes? As a short answer, it depends to some extent. But as a long answer, it depends on how hot, cold, or even toxic the place is. If the biome is extreme, at this point the food chain will not happen in that biome anyway. Although there is living things that live in the extreme biomes are called extremophile. According to NSS, the word extremophile often invokes images of microbes and so-called simple ones at that. Yet the taxonomic range spans all three domains. Number 4. According to Britannica, for meanings of static and current electricity, static electricity form of electricity resulting from the imbalance between positive and negative energy, or you can say charges, within a material that occurs when electrons, the negative charges particle in an atom, moves from one material to another, and the electrical current, any movement of electrical charges carriers such as subatomic charges, particles, example electrons having negative charge with protons having positive charge, ions, atoms that have lost or gained one or more electrons, or holes, electron deficiencies that may be thought or of a positive as positive particles. So both electricities have many properties. So let's see their differences and similarities. Differences. The current electricity is used for devices, vehicles, and appliances. On their, other hand, static electricity is used to, it's charged when rubbing objects and lightning. Number 2. Current electricity happens when a charge can be discharged by moving the electrons from one place to another. On the other hand, static electricity happens when a negative charge attracts to positive charge. Similarities. Number 1, both have involve electricity. Number 2, both happened because of movement, but their movement of both are very different. There are many differences and similarities between static and current electricity. And thanks for watching!